A local gypsy is out of prison and back to her old tricks. That's according to some of our viewers.
They've been warning us about this woman, Nancy Marks. Here's her mugshot. Marks has convictions in both Missouri and in Kansas. And what we recently heard about her prompted a huge KCTV5 investigation that sent our team undercover.
Here's KCTV5's Angie Racono.
Nancy Marks is back. She's floating around using different names, but it's her. We've been tracking her for months, and we've discovered she's at the top of her game, and she's getting even bolder.
I think she'd been watching. I really do.
This is Nancy Marks on a grieving mother's front porch, unannounced, uninvited, and trust us, unwelcomed.
How weird that they would show up in that one moment, that one instance when I was alone.
Monique recognized the young woman from her son's funeral and opened the door.
Hi.
We are blurring that young woman's face because the grieving mother suspects that person is a victim too.
This is my godmother, Rita.
Nancy Marks said her name was Rita. She's a spiritual godmother.
She just kind of continued to say how much she felt Blake, his presence. She felt like his loss was my fault.
What did you say when she said that?
I just cried.
Monique says Marks claims she was helping that poor young woman break a terrible curse. They were headed to the cemetery, but needed cash.
How could anybody with a heart ever take advantage of somebody who's grieving in that capacity? It was just shocking. It's just shocking.
Nancy, or whatever she calls herself, played her little game. There was even a gift.
Gosh, I brought you something and Blake picked it out for you.
Crying and overwhelmed, the charade ended when Monique's husband came home wondering what a psychic was doing in his living room. Nancy was shown the door. Did you call the police?
Because they didn't say, we need you to give us this amount of money, therefore no crime was committed. So there was literally nothing that could be done.
Monique's family Googled for information. Who could be so rotten?
Police are concerned there could be more victims.
And then they found an old KCTV5 news story from 2012 about spiritual godmother Rita. Real name, Nancy Marks. They learned she was convicted of theft by deception. Marks told another woman she was cursed and then drained her bank account.
She even brought up things like, well, would you rather pay so many $1,000s for this or paid for a funeral of a loved one?
Marks was busted in Kansas. Let's go back in time to Marks's first conviction in Missouri. We don't need a crystal ball. Around here, we use legal documents. In 1985, Marks called herself Sister Nancy and told a couple they were cursed, that their baby would be born blind and that Kathy would die during childbirth. Court records show Marks drained that family of $150,000. Marks was sentenced to 7 years in prison. She appealed that conviction, arguing the detective wasn't an expert witness when it came to burning money, bloody yolks and eggs, and what the inside of a tomato could reveal about a person's future. She lost her appeal. Which brings us to today in the Johnson County Fair. People enjoying rides, grabbing funnel cakes, and catching a quick reading from a convicted criminal who tells people they are cursed. Nancy didn't like our undercover crew taking pictures. She said cell phones harm spiritual energy and asked us to stop. But here she is moments later on her cell phone. Maybe hers is special.
She's an awful woman. She's evil.
Caitlin recently crossed paths with Nancy Marks at this shop on Warnell Road. Caitlin was looking for advice and insight.
She'd started saying that I had a curse on me that my mother had put on me. And then she said in the future I would have money problems and my credit would be ruined.
Caitlin says Nancy Marks, or whatever she called herself that day, told her she needed a spiritual cleanse. Write your name and birthday in this black book. We sent a producer undercover to see how it all works.
You used to be a fighter, but now you're not.
Our producer was told by Nancy Marks' partner, Chrissy, that her root chakra, or self-esteem, was off.
I would need your full complete name, your date of birth.
Okay.
You would have to do exactly what I need you to do.
Okay.
Okay. But I do charge you $75 for this.
Here's what you get for $75. A crystal you stick in salt water, and you're advised to write about your dreams. Our producer returned to the shop, and that's when Nancy showed up. Remember, our producer wrote her full name and birthday in that black book, and you can decide if Nancy tapped into her psychic abilities or used the power of Google.
What kind of line of business are you doing right now?
I'm in media,
What media?
media production.
Okay. Like for TVs or, yeah. You do for Channel 5, Channel 9?
I work for Channel 5.
Okay. That's what it shows. That's why I'm asking you. Because I seen something like that, okay?
And then it was time for a little chat. Strangely enough, with all of her psychic abilities,
How are you, Nancy?
Nancy Marks didn't see us coming.
I'm with KCTV5 News. We've been getting some phone calls and some disturbing allegations that you're showing up at people's houses when they're in mourning. Do you have anything you want to say?
No.
No? Do we have it wrong? Do you want to? Is there anything you want to say? We're trying to give you an opportunity to respond to this.
Nancy may be gone, but she leaves behind a trail of accusers who say Marks preys on people at their most vulnerable moments.
And I was scared for my life because I didn't know what was going to happen later.
But knowing that there isn't anything that the law can do, I just felt compelled to speak out so that people are aware of who this person is and who she is, and I pray that it just doesn't happen to anyone else.
Both women who stepped forward say Nancy Marks was very careful with her words, and that's why police couldn't do anything. One accuser says what Marks did may not be illegal, but it was certainly wrong. Angie Racono, KCTV5 News.